Welcome back, guys. We are excited today to be talking to Julie Moran. And you may remember her, as we mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, that she used to be the co anchor of the Weekend Entertainment Tonight. But she's so much more. She's got a new podcast. We're going to talk all about it. Welcome to the show, Julie.
Oh, I love your podcast. I'm so excited to be
Yeah.
on it and to be able to chat with you gals.
It's really exciting to have another person in this space, in the podcast space, with your podcast, Limitless, that's boldly tackling your next chapter with Julie Moran. And you really talk about some great different things on your podcast. I mean, you'll go from uh, somebody like a CEO starting your second career with just some really great advice to decluttering, to your finances. So it's really great to have the word out there to women, in this world or in this demographic that we're in. What made you want to start a podcast?
Well, I just, as you guys saw, there was not a lot in our space for women, empowering midlife, being in midlife. And I thought there are just so many things happening. So what I did is I kind of Googled and researched what women our age were you're looking for on the web. And they were searching topics like menopause. They were taught how to reconnect with your spouse. They were also how to be mentally strong, how to relaunch your career. So I tried to find an expert in each of those categories that women were looking for and bring that expert on. They usually had a book or best-selling book or a podcast or both. And then they could be my expert. And then we could tackle that topic every week.
So, when you were doing your research, what stood out the most to you besides menopause that midlife women wanted to know about?
Online dating. They also wanted to know if they're still married, how to reconnect with their spouse. And I found a great, person for that. Also, um, a woman, Amy Moran, wrote this book, 13 Things Mentally Strong Women Don't Do. And that was fascinating to me because women want to be mentally strong. But one thing that it just resonated with me when we talk about our accomplishments, we usually go, oh, I got this great job, but my sister knew the boss. We don't own our accomplishments. We diminish our accomplishments. And also something she said that was really interesting on LinkedIn, if you look at people's bios, men list 11 more credits every time than women on LinkedIn. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Like we don't see little things in our life as something that would be like really attractive to an employer. And that men they list it all. They're like, look, I did this, I did this, I did this. And women diminish themselves. So that was fascinating to me.
Yeah, that is amazing. I think there's something too about the way different people are brought up that, oh, you're tooting your own horn, you're bragging.
Right. You're bragging, you're boasting.
And so we don't give ourselves credit. And like, I still have trouble with that. I need to get over that. But yeah, that is amazing that that happens. What is something that is surprising that you learned from doing this podcast and talking to the experts?
I think that there's so many unanswered questions, and that I find that women have to really search for the answers, and that we don't talk enough to each other, even in my friend groups. Like, did we really talk about menopause? Did we really talk about sex hurts? What have you found that helps vaginal dryness? We just have to really dig and look for things out there. And why aren't we talking about these things? It shouldn't be taboo. I mean, why can't we just have, if we're all having wine and a cocktail party and there are no men around, why can't we talk about this stuff? And why don't we talk about this stuff? And I think it goes back to it's the way we were raised, and maybe our mothers didn't talk to us about it, but we need to like break that mold. And that's what I'm trying to do with my daughters, is discuss things that maybe they're not ready for yet, but yet, let me tell you, when I went through menopause, Maya, this happened, this happened, this happened. And I didn't know I was in perimenopause until this happened. And then I think when they get there, they'll go, oh, my mom, oh, I remember her talking about that. And just trying to be open with the generation before us, the generation after, and then our current friendships.
You have a daughter named Maya?
I do. And Michaela.
Well, I have
We
Maya
call them
and
M&M.
I have Maya and Jordan. So I have a
I
Maya
have
too.
Mag.
Cool.
We all have M's. I have Maggie. So we all have
There
Okay.
you go.
Yes.
That's so
And
funny.
we
When you
call
said Maya, I was like,
I know. I
"Ooh,"
went,
You're like,
oh,
wow.
just talking to my dog. But that's one of the reasons why we did this podcast, because we want them to take for granted what we had to fight to learn. And it takes the first generation of women saying enough is enough.
Yes.
I deserve to have this information readily available to me. I shouldn't have to fight for it. You know, Viagra got approved by the FDA very quickly, but getting something
Yes.
approved for female vaginal dryness or anything, it's slow and it just needs to improve. So if we can somehow change the system a little bit so that our daughters don't have to fight it, that would be fabulous. It really would be nice to do that.
I totally agree. And, when I came along, there were no female sportscasters. So
That's
when I was the first female host of Wide World of Sports, really kind of breaking that glass ceiling for women, I used to kind of diminish that. And I felt like I was bragging when I said it. And then finally someone said to me, it's just the facts, Julie. That's just what happened. And I think men, they'll just tell you that, I did this. And we feel like we have to clarify it or justify it or diminish it or, oh, I just got lucky and I happened to be the first female to host Wide World of Sports. Well, no, it's just a fact. And don't be thinking you're bragging or boasting. It's okay to state the facts, and it's okay to be proud of your hard work. And I think we're learning that as women. And I hope the next generation doesn't have to learn that.
right. And I'm curious. I was going to ask, how was that? How was it socially, from fans, from coworkers, when you were the first solo female
because you're talking early
host of Wide World
90s.
of Sports?
So
Yeah.
Early
Yeah.
90s, it was Jim McKay and then Frank Gifford, and Kathy Lee Gifford and Frank were married, and Frank retired. And my boss at ABC Sports said, Julie, I need you down in my office in 5 minutes. I literally thought I was going to be fired. I mean, I just didn't see it coming. And he goes, you're going to be the next host of Wide World of Sports. No woman has ever done it. You were a beauty queen. You're going to be harassed in the media. The press is going to take shots at you. And the only thing I'm going to tell you is you better know all your facts. And unfortunately, you're probably going to have to know more than a man would have had to know getting this job. So I went into it knowing I had something to prove, that people were going to take shots at me, try to trip me up, see if I really knew sports, did I really know my facts? And I did have to study harder than a man would have had to, because I had something to prove. But I'm so glad that he warned me, because I remember opening USA Today and there was a sports column, and this sports writer just took me to task. How dare you hire a beauty queen? What is ABC Sports doing? And being Diane Sawyer was America's Junior Miss. So was I. Big
Yeah.
deal. Big deal.
And
You
Junior
can be
Miss is scholarship.
attractive and smart.
Yes.
You can
Yeah.
be attractive and smart. They don't have to be disconnected.
Yeah.
So it was a bumpy time for a little while, but finally that one writer that took me to task by the end of my career read one of the nicest columns that ever has been written about me. So it came full circle.
Oh, good. Because I was going to say, Junior Miss, you have to be smart. I mean, you have
do.
to be smart for
It's
Junior
not like
Miss.
Miss Universe where
No,
you just walk
no.
out in
Yeah,
a
you just walk
swimsuit.
out. You got to have some scholarship there and everything. And, and you also were athletic as well. And you come from an athletic family. So
Yes.
I'm sure that you knew I'm sure you knew what you were talking about, but it is that hurdle that women have to fight to get over. I mean, we love to watch, most of us, we like to watch sports, we like to watch
Yeah.
events. But it is amazing. It's amazing how hard women have to work. Finally I've get my husband like, let's watch some women sports. Let's
Yeah.
watch them play
Let's
golf.
watch the women, for the first year ever, the women's college basketball final had more viewers than the men's college basketball final. And it was because of that rock star girl from Iowa that just rocked everybody's world, and everybody couldn't believe that she could play basketball like that. And it's the first time in the history that that's ever happened. So we're moving in the right direction.
We
And there's
are.
a great
Mm.
documentary on the soccer teams as well. Female
Oh, it's
soccer versus
amazing. Yeah. I mean, the female soccer World Cup team is much more popular than the men's team. And they've won more world championships and they've won more titles, but yet they're paid less. They're
Yeah.
still fighting for equal pay. So we're not there, but we're moving in the right direction.
So how did that
Absolutely.
transition into Entertainment Tonight? Because that's kind of a leap. That's not a natural progression, you would think.
No, it's really not. But the producer of Entertainment Tonight was a sports fan, so he watched me a lot. And ABC Sports did not get the Olympics. And I had been on the sidelines for college football and basketball. I had done Wide World of Sports, and that meant, snow skiing, gymnastics, World Track and Field Championship. I kind of did everything. And when I got the call from Entertainment Tonight, Lisa Gibbons was leaving the show and they said, we want you. And I actually went to my boss and I said, this is the offer on the table. My contract's up. You hired me. You gave me my biggest break. I will not leave. And he said, how much are they going to pay you? And I told him, and he said, if you were my daughter, I would say, take that job.
Wow.
And he really let me go. But I really felt Dennis Swanson was his name, and he put Oprah Winfrey on the air in Chicago as an anchor woman, and he got slammed for that. They said she's not pretty enough, her nose is too wide, she's too black. And when she went off the air, she brought Dennis on her last show. So he was the kind of man I knew that he gave me a break and he gave Oprah a break. And I wanted to leave on terms with his okay, almost like a father's approval. And he's like, if you were my daughter and they're going to pay you 5 times what I'm paying you, take the job, girl.
Wow, what a great boss. I mean,
Yeah.
I wish there were more people like that,
Yeah.
and hopefully they will learn from somebody like
Hopefully.
that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But it takes kind of men who appreciate the value of women's talent and that we can succeed in a world that's been kind of dominated by men, that and sometimes they are fathers of daughters because they kind of have that mentality that,
You kind of
okay,
get it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And look how your life changed because of it, because you had that advocate behind you saying, I'm going to give you the shot. It's up to you, but I'm going to give you this shot.
The only difference in interviewing celebrities and interviewing athletes, they're both superstars. So that didn't feel strange to me. But the one thing about interviewing athletes is they can't lie. They either cross the
Okay.
finish line first, or the basketball goes in the hoop, or they hit the baseball. They can't lie about that. What I found with celebrities is that they can get away with lying. But
To
they're
your
great ones
face?
like Tom Hanks. Oh yeah,
Well,
to
they're
my
actors.
face.
I mean, a lot of them
They're
are actors.
actors,
Yeah.
and they can fake it.
Yeah.
They can fake being good. Athletes can't fake being good. But I ran into I remember interviewing like Paul Newman and Robert Redford and Tom Hanks. And then I remember some little 20-year-olds coming in there, and I don't want to call them out because they're now 40-year-olds and they're big stars, but they came in with like this attitude, okay, I'm here. And I'm like, oh no, I'm here because I'm promoting your movie. So show up, sit up, and act like you're not 20 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I found that to be different. I found that Hollywood was a little more fake in a way, and that in the sports world, you just can't fake it.
Yeah. You wonder too, how hard they all work hard. I'm not going to say, I can't diminish what
But
the
some of
actors
them just
do.
get lucky.
Some of them
just
get lucky, but you can't get lucky in sports. You've got to have the talent.
Right.
If you're going to be that high up, you have to have the talent and the hard work
Yes.
in sports. So that's pretty amazing. It made me think when you were talking about that. Was it it was the Academy Awards this year, and Hugh Grant, how he treated, and I'm going
He
blank,
was
the
rude to
model.
someone. Oh,
Ash,
Ashley
is her name
Graham.
Ashley?
Ashley Graham.
Yes.
Ashley Graham.
He,
I remember. Oh, and I'll call you out, Hugh Grant. I don't care. So, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, that was just inappropriate. And
Oh,
who do you think you are? I mean, to
oh,
act
it was
like
so
that on national
awful.
television.
And
Oh, I thought that was so ugly. Yeah.
you're going to an award show where you know you're going to be interviewed by people. It's not like someone came to the back of your door, knocked on your house
No.
door and asked questions. Like you knew what you were getting into. So to be that condescending, it was
You chose to walk the red carpet,
Right.
Hugh Grant.
right.
So
Yes.
you
Yeah.
answer the questions, and there's never, ever an occasion to be rude to anybody.
Oh my
Ever.
goodness. She was so gracious. And I just, my husband and I were watching that. We were like, oh no. Well, and now,
Oh no, you didn't.
now I
No,
don't
you
like,
were probably a huge Hugh Grant
I
fan, and now you're like,
was.
I'm not watching those movies anymore.
It's exactly it. I was like, oh, now I don't want to watch Four Weddings and a Funeral anymore because I want to
know.
see your face. So, anyway, that was Bridget's tangent there. Yeah.
And then
Along-
also, I will say, sometimes people just are having a bad day, you know.
Right.
But
Yeah.
when you do show up on that red carpet, whether you're having a bad day or not, you're there. You know you're there. You know what's going to happen. You've done it before. This is not your first rodeo. Don't act like that.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
even, we've interviewed several celebrities in the last couple of years, and for the most part, 99% are the loveliest people. And because they know what they're interviewing getting interviewed on a podcast, and they have something to promote or what. But it's just that 1% of people where you're like, wow, that's not the image I had of you. Did that happen to you while you were on Entertainment Tonight, where you were excited to interview somebody and then it was like, oh no, please don't be like that?
Yeah, it actually happened during a Julia Roberts interview. And I'm from Georgia. She's from Smyrna, Georgia. And I just thought the first time I interview her is going to be golden. We're going to connect. We're going to bond over being from Georgia. And she had a really bad day. She was married to Lyle Lovett, but she had been out dancing the night before with Ethan Hawke. And the New York Post put them on the front page, like in a canoodle blasted on the front page. So she came in with just the worst attitude. Like I would ask her a question. She would say, yes. I'd ask her, no, yes, no. And you know what I did? I stopped the interview. I said, we can't air this. I'm sorry. I know you're having a bad day. Everybody just disconnect. Well, when I said that, she walked out the door. Within 2 minutes, she knocked back on the door. And to her credit, she said, I'm so sorry.
Wow.
She said, I have had a really bad day, but I appreciate you trying to promote my movie. Could we reconnect the cables, and could we do this again?
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
So it happens, and as we were disconnecting the cables, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, my boss is going to fire me for kicking Julia Roberts out of an interview. But she came back. And when she came back, the funny thing is, the first thing she did for me was a magic trick.
Oh, wow. Well,
Like just
okay.
to re-warm up the room,
Yeah.
And now, whenever I see her, we don't talk about it. We don't remember it. We don't discuss it, but we've been gracious and friendly ever since.
Yeah. And for her credit then that she did come back, and I've had a bad day, and that can happen. And I mean, I'm sure that can happen. And it is
I mean, when you're
yeah.
plastered on the New York Post and you wake up and you're married to somebody else, yeah, that would be a bad day for me.
A bad day. Maybe she should cancel her appointments for the day, like something came up.
We should have rescheduled the interview. Her publicist should have been on top of that.
True.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And along those lines, now it's so different, because the minute you do something or anything, there is a camera in your face videoing it. How do you think Entertainment Tonight would play out now? And how different do you perceive, and what's your opinion on how the media has changed?
I think that the paparazzi have gone wild, and I have friends that have children, and it just really upsets me when they videotape children of celebrities. Now, the celebrity, they bought into this. This is their job, maybe expect it. But when they're jumping over bridges and hedges and hiding behind corners and jumping out and scaring children or filming children, I'll never forget, I played basketball, and I was coaching my daughter's basketball team in the Pacific Palisades. And Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner's daughter, Violet, was on my team. And I would get so infuriated after every practice. They couldn't get in the gym. But every time Jennifer or Ben would come to pick up Violet from practice, there would be 10 paparazzi outside the gym, in the bushes, on the sidewalk, by the car. And this little girl would have to go through the gauntlet just to get in her car after basketball practice. And that really infuriated me. One day I went out and I just let them have it. And I'm like, you know what? Don't you have anything better to do? This is a child. I mean, I just scolded them all. They didn't leave. They didn't care. But I was so mad that this little girl, and I was thinking, is this going to cause damage? And I'm certainly, it's got to impact children of celebrities. That's when it really got me and really bothered me.
Yeah, I've seen where some of them, one time there was a photographer yelling at Surrey Cruz when she was just like 5 or 6, like calling her a brat. I thought, oh my gosh, this little girl's, I think she was just trying to get in a car because she didn't wave. I mean, oh my goodness, it's insane. It's insane.
It's just, that's when it really gets to me. It's when the children are involved because they didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
And also the paparazzi are horrible, but now you have average people with a phone that if you go out to dinner, they can just start filming you.
Oh yeah. Just, and that happens to celebrities all the time in restaurants. And then people like TMZ or these other companies will buy the cell phone video from people. So then people see this, oh, wow, I can make money doing this. And if you live in New York or LA, people actually go looking for celebrities to film to sell their video. So it's a vicious cycle now. It's just not a good thing.
I just think that would be very hard. And, we live in Nashville, Colleen and I do. So there's country music stars around here, but that's like the code of Nashville is to leave them alone.
Nashville's so great. My daughter went to Belmont in Nashville.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sure.
And singer, songwriter, actress. Nobody bothers the celebrities in Nashville.
Nope.
Why can't, this is Southern charm. Why can't it be that way in New York and LA? I don't know.
I don't know. I think it was like a rule. Like I moved here 8 years ago and Colleen moved here around the same time. And it's just like, that's a rule, don't do it.
And we had to learn. We had to learn that rule because I was ready to take some pictures. And people were like, you don't do that. And I said, oh, okay, there's a rule. Nashville, so I haven't since then, but there's just this unspoken rule that if you live in Nashville or the outskirts of Nashville, you let people live there. We happen to live by several of them and they'll be in our grocery store and you can tell by the voice. And you're like, I think I recognize, but you leave them alone. And you're right. It would be nice especially with the kids, if they're out the day with their children, to just leave them alone.
Nashville's a sweet place. I really did enjoy my daughter's time. Those 4 years there, just people do have a gracious way of living. Y'all are in a great town.
Yes,
it's pretty fun. Yes, it is.
Would you want to do another Entertainment Tonight show now, or do you just think that would be overwhelming?
Well, I'll tell you what I am doing is I'm working for Sinclair Media and I'm doing all of their commercials. So Sinclair might own hundreds of stations across the US. So I just shot 8 90-second commercials that'll go into their newscast. And that's fun for me. We're talking about doing a once a week show, but I'm having a lot of fun. My daughter, Michaela, plays college volleyball. She's 6'2". And I love the fact that I am free at any point in time to see any home game. She starts I want to see her play every game I can see her play. And I'm not sure that I'm ready to trade off going back to full-time work, because I am now, she's going to be a sophomore. I've got 3 more years where I'd love to see them win the conference championship. I'd love to see this team succeed. I love the girls on the team. I love all the moms when we get together pregame, and I'm so enjoying this season of my life where I'm finally free to do these kind of things. I think I'll probably do another show. But right now I love the part-time basis of my work, and I love the podcast because I'm flexible with that. So I just know I've only got 3 more years really to enjoy this season of her life. And I'm such a sports fan. I just love, I love watching her play. So that joy, I think I would have to balance that with work.
Yeah, I think, that's such a great way to look at it, because I think that would be really hard when you want to be there. That was the hardest thing about working, and probably for you as well. Working when you have children is you feel torn. You feel
Yeah,
like
you
you're
do.
missing out on something. So how exciting that you get to go to all of her games and
I
everything
know, it's
like
so
that.
great.
That's great. And just that whole other the college, because you feel like in high school, maybe when your kids graduate, you don't get to see those moms as much anymore, but now you've got this college group of friends. So
Yeah. And she's so cute. And when she got to, she's playing for Rollins in Winter Park, Florida. She got there. The first call I got, first day of practice, she goes, "Mom, I found my people." And I said, "What do you mean?"
Oh,
And she goes, "There's a 6'4" girl, 2 6'3" girls. I'm 6'1.5", but with volleyball shoes, I'm 6'2". She goes, "I'm not the tallest girl in the room anymore."
oh,
aw.
and that had to be hard,
And now
yeah.
these beautiful Amazons are out there with the legs up to here, and they wear the spandex, and I look and I'll see the boys baseball team sitting over there, the boys basketball team sitting, the lacrosse boys team is there. And I know exactly why they're there. Yes,
Right.
they want to cheer on their fellow, but those volleyball girls, whoo, there's some good looking girls that play volleyball. I'll tell you that.
Wow. That is amazing. Amazing.
But they're real athletes.
Yeah.
They are. Michaela works hard. She's like, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. She works hard to be a starter, and if she's earned her stripes. That's what I say, athletes, you
They
can't
can't
fake
fake
it.
it. Is she
Can't fake.
a sophomore?
She will be a
She'll
sophomore.
be a sophomore. Okay.
Yeah.
A starter when she's a
She
freshman.
was a
Wow.
starter as a freshman.
Wow.
So proud of
Wow.
her.
Wow.
She'll
That is
die when she
amazing.
sees this podcast because she hates when I say that. I'm saying,
I'm so proud of
"Michaela,
her.
you earned that, girl.
Yes.
You earned
Yes,
Yes.
she
that.
did.
Yeah.
Like
Don't worry about it. The coach puts the players on the floor. All your job to do is play volleyball."
Yeah. Oh
and
my
like you said
gosh.
in the beginning, she earned it. She should be able to say it without feeling guilty about saying it.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
What?
And I
So
think as a freshman, you feel a little guilty. You think, "Ooh, I took somebody's spot." But I told her, "Don't think about it that way. Just play volleyball. The coach is going to put the team on the floor. That's not your business." And
Mhm.
I think she's finally owning that.
Yeah, that's hard when you're a freshman, when
Yeah.
you think that, because you don't want the upper class to be mad at you and
And they
Right.
weren't. They
they weren't.
weren't. You
That's
know what?
great.
When you're a team, you want to win.
Right.
And
Right.
good
good
point.
teams really want to support each other. And
Right.
that's why I think girls sports is so important, because a lot of girls don't ever play sports. But when you play sports, you learn to pick yourself up off the floor, lose. You learn how to work as a team. You learn what teamwork means, and it takes teamwork to win. And I think women, like when my brother-in-law was vice president of Viacom, and he just pretty much blanket say this. He said, if there are 2 people that were equal on a resume, if somebody had played a team sport, if they were completely equal, he always athlete,
Mhm.
because they understood win, loss, teamwork, and it takes teamwork to succeed. And I think
Wow.
it's a valuable lesson.
It is. And I hope more women, I think a lot of women were denied uh, playing
Playing
sports
sports.
for a
Yep.
long time. So I think it's always great to get some kind of involvement in them in some kind. I
Yeah,
swam,
and there's
cheerlead.
so many options
Yeah,
now, from
there's so
even
many.
cheerleading, even
Yeah,
lacrosse, volleyball. They can play softball. I mean, we didn't have a volleyball team when I was in high
we
school. I
didn't
mean,
when I was in high school either.
it's
Yeah,
crazy,
yeah, yeah.
So we would be remiss to not discuss menopause because we talk to people about menopause. So how was your experience with menopause?
Do you know, it was, I didn't realize I was in it because I'd never heard the word perimenopause. Like nobody told me that. And so when I started feeling a little like anxiety, I am so blessed. I never had hot flashes or sweats. Can you believe it?
You are
Wow, you are
blessed.
lucky.
But
I had yours.
I
I
could
had yours.
tell there was a mood change.
Mm.
I could tell there was a little bit of weight gain. I could tell there was a little more anxiety in my life. So that's when I really went to a doctor and said, what's going on with me? And they said, oh, you're premenopausal. And I'm like, what? They said, yeah, you're about to enter menopause. And it took me going to a doctor to figure it out because none of my girlfriends, we didn't discuss it. My mother didn't tell me about it. And then I started going crazy on the internet, looking for things. And then, I really, for me, because I had no markers or no problem, hormone replacement therapy worked for me during menopause. And we hit it early on enough. Maybe that's why I didn't have the hot flashes and the sweats. And it was just a kind of a cure-all for me because when I got tested, my doctor, Dr. Najat, and people fly in to see this guy from all over. He said, you have absolutely no estrogen, testosterone, or progesterone in your body. You're a flat line. He said, no wonder you're a little depressed. He said, no
Wow.
wonder you're a little anxious. He said, we're going to, replace some of those hormones so your body feels alive again. And it absolutely was the cure all for me.
Yeah, it was the same for me. The hormone replacement worked out for me as well. And it's interesting. I'm so happy you had this doctor that would listen to you because I know in Great Britain they started a poster campaign, just to put a poster up, just know your menopause poster. So
Oh,
when
wow.
I was at my gynecologist and I just thought I'm just going to check the room out. There was a lot of stuff about pregnancy. There was not one thing about menopause. And it didn't hit me that they're not up there
That
in these
doesn't
offices. That's
surprise me.
yeah, that would be a good thing for the US. Colleen, our next thing. The
That's your next
poster
thing.
campaign.
Get the
Yeah.
posters in the doctor's
Doctor's
offices.
offices.
Exactly.
Yes.
Or better
Yeah.
yet, find doctors that only take patients that are perimenopausal and menopausal. Even better, so they
Yeah.
Right.
specialize, which there are
There
doctors
are.
like her MD, which now have facilities all up the East Coast, which specialize in menopausal. Well, they specialize in comprehensive women's health care, but most of their patients that they see gynecologically are 40 plus, which is great.
Yes. And then one thing that you and I think are going to agree on is something my gynecologist said to me is that sex shouldn't hurt.
Yes.
I mean, women don't
Mhm.
want to talk about that, but when you get to menopause and there's that vaginal dryness, and then you avoid sex a little bit because of you don't. But there's so many things, Vaginex. There's so many women's products at Ultra. I mean, that can be cured like that, but nobody wants to talk about it or admit it. They
Right.
just kind of endure it. We don't need
Yes.
to endure it. This is a time to enjoy it.
It would be nice if that was another question, on the poster. Is sex
Does
hurting? Does
and
we have this? Because I actually had to ask my doctor. There is vaginal estrogen that
Yes.
actually people can take that have breast cancer in their history in their families. That's safe.
always check with your
Transdermal.
doctor, though. Always check with
Always
your
check with
doctor
your doctor.
Yes.
Yes.
before you do
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that we're always shouting it for the rooftops, but you're not going to see the posters until everyone else starts shouting it from the rooftops. What your podcast is relatively new. It just started in February. So what can we look forward to on your podcast?
Well, I think that, what I'm trying to do is bring to light those topics that women are searching secretly on the web. And then I can see, and my producer and we scoured and we put together a list of the 15 most searched topics by women 40 to 70. And they were surprising. And so we tried to find an expert in every topic. And these are things that women shouldn't have to be secretly looking for answers for on the web. They should be able to talk to their friends about it. They should be able to talk to their husbands about it, even their mothers and their daughters. But what we did was we found these topics, we found the experts, and we're trying to bring answers. And that's why we say limitless. We don't want to put any limits on this time of our life. This should be a great time of life, a time we enjoy, a time my husband and I, we're not empty nesters. We call ourselves free birds because we can fly to see Michaela play volleyball. We can fly to Mexico we love beaches. We can have date night 2 times a week if we want instead of 1. We've done the raising and the hard part, and now is the time to enjoy the girls and relish their success and be a part of their lives. And it's fun when you can finally have my 24-year-old daughter, I can finally sit on the porch and have a glass of wine with. I mean, these are just fun times. And I think that's something we have to really embrace at this point in our life.
We agree. You are preaching to the choir to us. So
Yeah,
we agree.
yeah.
We could not wait till there's a wedding. I just had my first
Oh,
wedding last year.
She had a wedding. Yeah.
Woo!
That's gonna take you right over there. So
I'm not there yet, but I know I'm going to completely embrace and enjoy that.
Yeah.
You
Colleen
do-
did a great job. Yeah.
Well,
Colleen,
thank
you
you.
did really
But-
good to enjoy the
but
wedding.
you have to
Yeah.
enjoy the process. You do. And I think
Totally.
this stage of life, we are more in the moment. We are kind of able to not be like 3 steps ahead. Well, we've got to make sure the kids have this for tomorrow, and we got to make sure that the meeting is scheduled for we can kind of enjoy the moment. And Bridget and I have certainly enjoyed these moments with you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate it, Julie.
Boldly tackle your next chapter.
I wrote it in scribble.
And you can find it anywhere. And I just want to tell you both, I really, really commend you for what you're doing. Shout it from the rooftops. Love your podcast. Love the cool topics, and love that you're dealing with menopause too, and wrapping it all in one beautiful package.
Well,
Thank you so much. We appreciate that.